J.P. White with SportsSpeak Sports, and we talk sports, and boy, do we have a humdinger today. We have Link Skillern. Hello, Link.
Hey, good to be here with you, old buddy.
I believe you're a sportsman. Tell me something about it. Are you a sportsman?
I picked it up when I was when old Babe Ruth was still playing, and he hung me on baseball, and I've been a Yankee fan, and of course, don't everybody like the Yankees anymore.
Oh, I do.
But that's when I first started following baseball, and I started hitting. Back on the farm, we'd break up those corn cobs and get Mama's battling stick out of the wash pot, and we'd bat those corn cobs with them, and I got stuck on baseball early in life.
All right, I noticed you paid attention there. You saw Babe Ruth's picture painting hanging out over on the wall. That's the reason you brought him up, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, the Yankees started me off, and I was reading. Back then, we were taking the Houston Post, and they'd have a write-up about the Yankees every day, and I'd always get the paper and give Mama the front page, and I'd read the sport page about Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig and Bill Dickey and Leseg and Red Rolfe, and old Big Chief was a pitcher, and Lefty Gomez, and that's back before the baseballs were round, I believe. But anyway, I go a long way on baseball. I love baseball a lot.
Well, I want to know something about your past. Where did you go to high school and college? Tell me some of those.
Well, I grew up in 10 miles out of Nacogdoches, Texas.
Yeah.
And a little old school called Woden, W-O-D-E-N, and we didn't hardly have enough boys in the classes to play basketball, much less football. We didn't have football, but we played the other sports. We had Ford King became a famous high school basketball player, and finally moved from Woden over to Big Sandy, Texas, and he was constantly in the state meet with those Indian boys after he moved over to Big Sandy. But my junior year, we had an excellent basketball team. We went 53-3.
53-3?
3, and got beat by Cushion. They didn't have any. All the schools were the same in the same league back then. They didn't have any divisions.
The big ones had to play the little ones, or the little ones had to play the big ones. That's
right.
bad.
And they'd have a county meet, and then the one that won the county championship would play a district meet, which was 3 other adjoining counties, and then the district champion would play like they do now, would play another high school. And Cushion was about the size of Woden, and they won the state meet that year. That was 1936. And they beat El Paso in the finals. I think it was 26-21 or something. And that was when when you made a free throw or a field goal, you came back to center and re-jumped the ball. And that's why the scoring was so small, because you spent all your time walking back from the basket where you made the field goal back to jump the ball up again.
Oh.
And we had all kind of plays off of the jump ball because we jumped the ball up so much.
Well, I guess then it'd be an advantage to have a tall center.
A tall one back then was 6 feet, but now they're over a foot taller than that. We had an old big red-headed boy called Pack Haney, and I think he was 6'1", and of course the rest of the team was 5'8" and 5'9" and stuff like that. But when you had to bounce that ball, because we started the first day of September practicing, and that's how we played like 60 games.
My goodness.
Yeah, and that was the good old days.
Yeah. Well, where did you go to college?
Went to Stephen F. Austin College after I got out of the service. I went there on a GI Bill. I wasn't able. It was during the Depression, and I didn't get a scholarship to play ball when I graduated from high school. I went worked a few years, then went into service. And after I got out of the service, I went to Stephen F. Austin, and not on the baseball scholarship. We didn't have any baseball scholarships. They had football scholarships, but most of the players were football players, and they played baseball too. But we had a good, excellent baseball team in Stephen F. Austin.
Did you play with the team?
Yes, I was the third baseman on the team, and we had our coach played with the Yankees. He was from New York State, and he played with the New York Yankees, and he had played with Syracuse 2 years, and then he went into service, and while he was in Texas training for the Army, he met a girl from Nacogdoches and married her, and after the service, he came to Nacogdoches to Stephen F. to finish his college degrees, and they said, well, Joe, you played with the Yankees, why don't you manage our college baseball team? And that's how we got a major leaguer there at Stephen F. Austin, and we won the conference championship, and Sam Houston was always our big opponent in baseball, and I think we won 3 years and they won 1 while we were there, and we had an excellent baseball team, just because of his good coaching and playing in the major league. And he played in the minor leagues against Ted Williams. And,
okay.
Yeah, and he used to tell us baseball stories about he and Ted Williams hitting. They were both real good hitters, and we'd always enjoy a road trip because Joe was a good storyteller, and he'd tell us about Ted Williams being able to hit and how good an eyesight that guy had. So we enjoyed road trips with Joe.
I have a couple of daughters that went to Stephen F. Austin. Mighty fine school. But how did you become a Longhorn?
Well, when I got out of the service, I had gone during the service. They had sent me to an electrical school, and 3 months electrical school, and I worked as an electrician overseas. And when I decided to go to college on the GI Bill, I thought, well, I've got to major in something, so I'll be an electrical engineer.
There you go.
I'd already had a start, so I went up to University of Texas, and we were getting $60 a month to, they'd pay for our books and a tuition and give you $60 a month. And the enrollment at University of Texas, the year that the GIs come back to college after the war, jumped from 22,000 up to 35,000 in one semester.
Oh.
So it was hard to find a place to live in Austin, and I went one semester to University of Texas trying to major in electrical engineers, and that $60 a month wouldn't reach from 1 month to the other. So I said, I'm going back to Stephen F. Austin and live at home, and I'll have to change my major, so I changed it from electrical engineering to forestry, and I majored in forestry up at Stephen F. They didn't have engineering school at Stephen F. Austin.
Bruce Williams was out here for an interview. The head, the head umpire for the little leagues, and he said that you used to help him broadcast umpire ball games. What's the scoop on the umpiring nowadays?
Well, I came to Sylvie when I graduated Stephen F. Austin in 1950, and Robert Nealon was managing a Little League team, and I'd never heard of Little League. This is when the Little League first started, and Rabbit had started in the banking business, and he said, you played baseball in college, and we need another manager here in a Little League team to take my place. I'm tied up in banking. So they got me to manage a Little League team, and I said, I can imagine what kind of players a 12-year-old boy can do. And they said, you'll be surprised when you get out there and watch them play. And so, of course, living baseball, that was right down my alley, and I started managing a Little League baseball team here in Sylvie. The second year they had Little League here in Sylvie.
Well, great.
And I managed a team for 3 or 4 years, and my job as a forester got such it tied me down, so they got me umpiring, and I umpired for 15 years here in the Silver Little League.
Goodness, how about that?
Yeah.
Are they doing pretty good now, or you hear anything about them? What's the scoop now?
Yeah, I think they got a good program, and it's wonderful that men will take the time and work with those boys, and it's always a pleasure to run into an old boy 60 years old and say, Link, do you remember when I played a little league?
There you go.
And that makes me feel young, of course.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, it's a pleasure to work with a program that is interested in kids, and that's what Little League is wonderful.
What about the Little Dribblers? Are you familiar with the Little Dribblers basketball program?
Yes, I was with a group of men who organized it, and I worked with them the first year when we organized the Little League. I was on the program that the officers that formed it and formed the teams, and that's another good. It's like Little League, and it certainly helps high school talent. Those kids, by the time they're 10 years old, knows a lot of basketball, and it helps the high school teams because starting the kids out early, learning all about the round ball game.
Our coach, Ira Brooks, is planning to be here for an interview, and he said, the way I understood it, I'll ask him about this later. I may have to make some of this up, but I'll tell you what I think he said. He played with the Little League.
Yes.
The Little Dribblers, now, let's get my stories right. He played with them a little, and then pretty soon he went on and played high school, and pretty soon then he went back over and coached the Little Dribblers, and now he is this assistant coach of two different sports in Silsbee, I think, and they tell me he's really doing a beautiful job.
Absolutely, and we are proud to have him in Silsbee, Texas, working with our kids.
There you go. All righty, we're in SportsSpeak. SportsSpeak, we talk sports, Link. You're a good one to talk sports. I bet I could have you back and talk to you again. You could tell me something else, couldn't you?
Oh, yes. I got interested in running backs when I had my first job after high school, and I always, if I heard of a good running back somewhere, we'd drive 100 miles just to see him play, and then we'd compare him with that old boy we saw that was a good few years ago, and it was always good to go see a guy that could go from one end of the field to the other one. And the best running back I've ever seen, I've seen a lot of good ones, was right over here at Kuntz, Texas, and that Ted Tate coached him, in Gordon Gilder.
Gordon Gilder, I remember Gordon.
He was, we've seen him play several times, and I've never seen a high school boy could run the football like he did. And he chose to go to SMU when they were passing every down, and I wish I could have seen him play in college, but he tells me he was trying to block for that passer, and they'd pick him up and throw him back into the passer. He wasn't big enough to block for the passer. I wish they could have turned him loose, give him the ball from behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, he could run, couldn't he? Well, Link Skillern, thanks a million for coming by. Appreciate it. J.P. White with SportsSpeak Sports, where we talk sports and a few other things. Now, we'll see you again next time.